Hello and welcome to another random review. My name is Jason Bach, and as I do in every review, I will have spoilers, so be forewarned. So in this review, I'm actually going to do two reviews, two books that I have had sitting on my desk for about a week or so, but finally got around and we'll be doing review in this video. So the first book I'm going to do is this one. This is called Bitter Sun, and it's by Beth Lewis. And I didn't realize when I was reading the book at first that she had also written a book, The Wolf Road, which I had read before. I don't think I ever did a review on it. And if I recall from that book, it was pretty dark. It was actually pretty disturbing at a couple of points, but written very well. So I may have been recommended this book because I had purchased the previous one. And so this book is the story of this book is that it's in the early 1970s. I believe it's in central southern United States. And these four kids, I think they're around like 12 to 14, these four kids, they hang around and just do stuff during the year. They end up finding a dead body. Now, of a girl who's about 14 or 15 years old. Now you think, oh, this is another one of those, as I started reading the book, I mentioned my wife what the premise of it was, and she said, what is this, a Stephen King Stand By Me ripoff or something? Because it kind of felt that way at first. It's not. It gets very dark at times, and the story as it unwinds and unfurls becomes sad in some ways, creepy in some ways, and yeah, it's not a pleasant story. It's not a fun story. As these kids, they decide to try to figure out what caused this girl to have been shot and killed, and her body dumped naked in this one area where they hang out in between these fields or something like that. They decide to try to solve the case. Well, as the main character, I think his name was John, as he starts diving in more and more into what happened, he starts realizing just how, the secrets of the small town, what's going on and what really happened with this girl and what's happening to other girls. So, as I say, I don't mind talking about spoilers. This one I'm going to leave a little, not going to give the whole story away, but that's definitely a hint. It doesn't turn out well. What I thought was interesting, too, is how they brought in the main character's family dynamic. His younger sister is part of this group of four, and this book spans about 3 years of time. And over that time, the daughter becomes more defiant, and for good reason. The mother is a drunk, and she's not a pleasant person at all. So the daughter starts to push back more and more, and things really spiral out of control, and they actually end up getting caught into what has been going on in the town. And of course, small towns, you always have these secrets. There's a scene in the middle with a mill, like a grain mill, that ends up exploding, and that actually tipped me off in the sense of, I think this could be done as a movie, because it's this middle part that is pretty shocking and actually adversely turns the town into something even worse, because there's no longer, that's the main source of income for people to work at the mill, and now there's nothing. So it definitely changes the dynamic of the town. And the ending is, I think, a little uplifting in that they end up leaving the town, and the money that they have or save or find, they end up using to take a bus to just get out, because they realize there's no way that they can change the town for what it is and for the people for what they're doing. And so these kids end up just leaving. And there is some solace in that they're getting away from the bigotry and kind of the evilness of what people are doing there. So, written very well. I definitely recommend it. It's a good book to read. It kept me engaged, kept me interested, and it's definitely one that I will say go out and buy it. It's a good one. The other one that I read recently is called Wonders, get the title right, Wonders Beyond Numbers, and this is by Johnny Ball. And I think I saw Johnny Ball in the Number File. I think that's the channel on YouTube that is from the UK. And they occasionally interview mathematicians and talk about all sorts of fun, strange, interesting problems. And they had Ball on one of the interviews, and he just seemed like this will sound bad, almost a stereotypical happy British guy that just you probably want to hang out in a pub with and talk about stuff with. But he'd probably talk a lot about mathematics. I don't think he was formally trained as a mathematician. He just had such a love for it that he learned so much on his own. And he hosted a TV show in the UK based on math and science. And so this book is all just about the historical evolution of mathematics in different cultures and different parts of the world over time, with Greeks and Arabic countries and India and China. And, it just talks about how a lot of these things started. And really in the last 100 years or so, how we've hit this kind of exponential uptick in terms of what we learned in math and what we've grown in our knowledge in math. And it's because, the internet and everything makes connectivity and interactivity so much easier. It's a good book. It's not written very deep, so you don't have to be a mathematician or know a lot about math to read the book. It's actually more historical than anything else. So there's definitely math involved, but it's not overbearing and it's pretty light. There's more in the appendix if you want to dive in. But overall, the book itself is fairly high level with the math. The one thing I noticed, and I don't necessarily fault Ball for this, but I don't think I ever heard a woman's name in the entire book. And part of me went, is it because with the way history was, and to some degree still is, that women's contributions to math just haven't been a lot? And not to necessarily say that's good. In fact, if anything, that's bad. Why is that? Or is it potentially some bias from the author? I don't know. But the more I read it, I'm like, there has to be more women involved in the advancement of mathematics and history. Surely it can't be just all these people and just all these guys. But maybe it is. Maybe there's just been this underlying sexism in math for so long that that's just all we see in terms of the history. I don't know, but it was definitely a point that stuck out to me, and it kind of bothered me because I didn't know if it was just the history of things and or it was the author's unintended bias. I don't know, but it's not a bad book. I don't know if I necessarily recommend it to people because it is a little bit niche in terms of what it's covering, but Ball definitely has enthusiasm for what he's discussing. He makes it very easy to read. You can definitely tell that he has a love for this stuff and that enthusiasm carries through in the words. So, it's good for what it is, and I enjoyed reading it. So that's all I'm going to be reviewing in this episode. Thank you all for watching, and if you have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section. Otherwise, I will see you in my next video. See you later.